Dr. Srinivasan R Iyengar, it would be our pleasure to listen to you. You lead one of India's leading business school, Jamnalal Bajaj, as the director under the University of Mumbai. How do you think are you connecting the human capital that you are preparing with the industry needs? Over to you, Dr. Iyengar.
Thank you, sir. Hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, you are audible. You can be a little louder.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be there for the wonderful gathering. Glad to see most of the Vice Chancellor and Deans are there in the program. It is something interesting. I would like to share, as Ujjwal sir said categorically, we do something to industry, not specific to institutes. I would like to share a couple of experience, which we experience even as I became a director of Jamnalal Bajaj, because we always try to talk about what is happening in industry, because we are a business school, we try to address the students, we try to give the student based on industry index, right? But when you are seeing that last 2 years placement scenario during the COVID, some outstanding experiences coming in our portfolio. Last week when we had a placements, we could able to complete it just 3 days. First time in 65 years, we could able to place the students in just 3 days, and out of them 50 students are consulting portfolio. Today we had a long discussion with them. What made placement this year we could able to complete in 3 days? So what is the industry is changing? Is it same trend? We are in Mumbai for almost 75 years. Is it industry is doing outstanding well? No, then we realized that something industry is changing. Today the business current scenarios were changing. For an example, I like to bring Schumpeter theory of economic development. That Schumpeter writes regularly column in Economist magazine. And when he talked about today industry, for an example, he has done that analysis for 300 years in the industry. When you see that the earlier business started on the first generation, so-called water and power and textile were the more business are focused. And during that time, that is called first wave. He decided that should be called first wave. That industry survived for almost 60 years. I'm talking about this is early or late 17th century. This is research what I'm sharing today of 300 years history about business scenario. And but if we talk about second wave started, that also survived for 55 years. And that time the second wave mainly focused on rail, steam, steel industry. Slightly textile too, we moved to this scenario. And the third wave happened early 19th century, where electricity, chemical, combustions, these are all the things were started. That is also survived for 50 plus years. When they invented the aircraft, petrochemical, electricals came in the late 1950, that also survived for 40 plus years. That one fantastic things which happening. It happened during the late 90s, the birth of WWW, World Wide Web. That changed the complete business model. In fact, I'm very happy to share this information because we floated the course on advanced course on strategy on reinventing business model. Today, for IIMs, we are teaching that it is one of the flagship courses. How to reinvent your business. In fact, I'm thinking different. Even these schools need to be reinvented. If you are in the business of placing the students, because the conventional model may not be surviving it. In fact, last week I was there in the Directors Forum of top IIMs. We talked about what is the business model, what we talk about. Nobody can able to replicate the business model of Jamnalal Bajaj, where we get 1 lakh application for 120 students with the 4 lakh rupee fees with 7 faculty. I think nobody can able to replicate our placement scenario. We don't have world-class infrastructure. We don't have world-class faculty. But what makes them to do? Because still we talk about the value ethics. I was mentioning the earlier discussion also, where we can position ourselves in the global market. I think country himself, we have to do something later. That I come to the part later the part. So we talk about the digital technology which disrupted the industry. That's the word I would like to repeat. So what else happening in the business? Because of digitization, there are many innovation happening. When I say innovation, disruptive innovation also happen. When I say disruptive innovation in academia, I don't say that it is going to happen over the night. That conventional incumbents getting a competition from small players who can able to compete the bigger players with the limited resources. I don't say Upgrade is going to compete with us or Coursera is going to compete with us. But the course what they offer, I think still our conventional business schools can't able to deliver that with that price. It's an inconvenient truth. We have to think it over as an academician. So what is happening in industry now? So today we talk about, we are moving towards the economy that Schumpeter talks about. The conventional jobs are going to die. Now I'm thinking in my Jamnalar Bajaj, we couldn't able to place the students on advertising, branding, so forth. That was one of the highest recruiter earlier days. But today my placement not happening. My today placement happening in consulting. Today my industry is asking something about analytics. Today we need people on digital marketing, which is not our curriculum talks about more. So what we talk about today, that innovation happening with the disruptive innovation or introduction happening on product. Today the production wise, supply chain wise, new market capability and competencies, and the new technology driven. And today you see which economy are we going about. Today I do train to multiple corporates, India's finest corporate as a trainer. When I happened to go, I don't want to name it. That company took us to introduce their staff. They said that the 1,000 employees, do you know the beauty? They are all less than 30. I said, wow. So what will happen if the guys become 40 plus, they become jobless? Today it look good. After 10 years, what will happen to those guys? Today, every company says we are young, vibrant organization. And the interesting story comes here. So what type of employment are you going to talk about? Everywhere we talk about disruption, right? One disruption, what we talk about, today we are moving toward the economy to scarcity to surplus economy. What is surplus to scarcity economy? You can see every industry today, if we talk about all unicorn, tradecon, there are multiple cons are coming on the market. Tell me what all those business are they in, what type of jobs are they create? Today, Swiggy also became unicorn to then move to another level. And how many jobs they created in the, they are created a wonderful job, but what level, what capacity? Are they in the real jobs? Today we talk about gig economy. Today,
to you, sir.
Yeah.
We will come back to you again in the second round.
Let's so I'd like to conclude that thanks for Ujjwalji for stopping it, because we are academicians. We know how to start and where to end. This is a challenge, but I restrict myself. Today, what I said, our course need to be integrated with industries towards moving towards Industry Revolution 4, 5. We talk about, digital disruption age. Today, we talk about speed. We talk about accessibility. We talk about innovation. If this course, if we could able to equip our students to match the industry standard, we can survive. Sorry.
Right. Right. Perfectly right. And that's well spoken.